All right, let me ask you a question. What if life wasn't supposed to feel this hard? What if the way you think, react, and experience the world wasn't entirely your choice, but something you were taught? Because a lot of us don't even realize it, but the way we move through life, the way we handle our emotions, our relationships, our self worth, and our expectations of people and ourselves, it's not just who we are, it's conditioning and it's learned. And that means that it can be unlearned. Think about it. Have you ever caught yourself reacting a certain way and then later thought, why did I just do this? Right? Why does this feel so normal to me? And why is it so hard for me to do things differently, even when I want to? That is conditioning. Today, we're breaking it down. We're going to be talking about what conditioning really is, how it shapes the way that we see the world, and why it feels so difficult to break free from, and what we could do to start unlearning it. Because if your life has always felt like you're pushing through, and if the way you experience yourself and your emotions feel automatic, that's not just the way you are. That's something that you were taught. Today, we're going to talk about how to shift that. But before we dive into that, I want to welcome back my old listeners. For those who are new here, hi and welcome. And I'm so happy that you're here today. And I want to introduce myself. Hi, I am Rose, and I'm your host here at a Sister Love podcast. And I am just one woman with one voice, healing and helping other women heal. This is a space where we help women feel safe in their healing journey, love themselves, and create generational healing. Did you hear that? What? Create what? Generational healing. If you have been searching for a sisterhood that's judge free, supported, and real, then you are in the right place. I would love for you to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another episode of a Sisters Love podcast. And don't forget to join our Facebook group called Sister Let's Heal Together, where we take these conversations deeper and support each other beyond this podcast. Welcome to A Sister's Love, the podcast that helps women who are healing by having those deep conversations, giving practical advice and words of encouragement. Come on, let's talk about it. So, first thing first, what is conditioning? Conditioning is the process of learning behaviors, beliefs, reactions, thoughts through repeated experience, social expectations, survival-based response, and the way our environment, our childhood, and our past experience shape our automatic reactions to life. Many of us, that condition wasn't built on freedom, peace, or choice. It was built on survival. So where does conditioning come from? Family dynamics, the way our parents or our caregivers handle emotions, conflict, relationships, and stress. Another place is society and culture. What we were told was normal, whether that was emotional suppression, hyper independence, or sacrifice. Also, trauma and personal experience is a way. The way we learn to protect ourselves after pain, rejection, or abandonment. The way you react to things today, the way you flinch when someone raises their voice, the way you shut down when you're overwhelmed, the way you avoid conflict or people pleasing is not random. It was learned. You were conditioned to see the world through a certain lens based on what you went through. And the hardest part about conditioning is it feels normal. You don't even realize it's conditioning. You just think that this is who I am. But in reality, it's just what you were taught to believe about yourself, the world, and what was possible for you. Now that we understand what conditioning is, let's talk about why conditioning is so hard to unlearn. It's built around our survival needs. These are the things every human being need in order to function. And whether we realize it or not, we are always trying to get these needs met, either in a healthy way or an unhealthy way. When these needs aren't met in a positive way, we'll settle for unhealthy ways of meeting them because even a toxic version of what we need still feels better than having nothing at all. There are 4 survival needs. Love and connection is the first one that we're going to talk about. Let's start with love and connection because let's be real. We all want to be loved. Every human being craves connection. But what happens when that love we experienced growing up was inconsistent? When affection was only given under certain conditions, or when love came with pain, neglect, or manipulation. See, love and connection is this deep emotional bond we seek with others that makes us feel seen, valid, valued, and understood. It is that need to feel close, attached, and emotionally safe with people in our life. Why do we need love and connection? To avoid the pain of feeling alone, to feel connected. We learned to accept whatever love was available to us, even if it wasn't real love. We learned to tolerate breadcrumbs, to overextend ourselves, to stay silent when we should have spoken up. Because on some level, we believe at least this is something. At least I'm not alone. And I want you to think about your own life for a second. Have you ever found yourself holding on to a relationship, even though deep down you knew it wasn't right for you? Have you ever ignored red flags because the thought of being alone felt scarier than staying, right? Have you ever given more than you had to give just to feel needed? That's not because you're weak. It's because love is a survival need. And you've been conditioned to accept it in whatever way it shows up. But love is real. Real love doesn't have to feel like suffering. And when you start meeting that need in a healthy way, by loving yourself first, by surrounding yourself with people who truly see you, by setting boundaries that honor your worth, everything will shift. So here is some ways that we meet these needs, healthy and unhealthy ways. Now let's start with the healthy ways. Some healthy ways that this need is met is through building deep, authentic relationships where love is mutual, two-way street. Practicing self-love so that you are dependent on outside validation. Creating friendships where you feel seen, heard, and valued. Now, let's move into unhealthy ways that these needs can be met or that we are using to meet these needs. Tolerating toxic relationships just to feel wanted, overgiving, people pleasing, or ignoring your own needs to keep love. Staying connected to people out of fear, not genuine connection. When we don't feel connected to ourselves, we seek love in unhealthy places. Settling for people who don't truly see us, tolerating mistreatment, or overextending ourselves just to be chosen. What did I say? Overextending ourselves just to be chosen. Now let's talk about the second survival need, certainty. Our brain craves what's familiar, even when that familiar thing is hurting us. So certainty and comfort is the need for stability, predictability, and security in our lives. It's the desire to feel safe and in control of our environment. I remember sitting in my car one night, staring at my phone, about to text somebody I knew damn well I had no business talking to. Someone who had hurt me over and over again. And I remember thinking, why am I doing this? I know this isn't good for me, right? But in that moment, the idea of walking away felt scarier than actually going back because at least I knew what I was expecting from them. And that's the thing about certainty. We will cling to what we know, even if that's destroying us, because the unknown, that feels too risky, too dangerous, too unfamiliar. This is why people stay in toxic relationships, in jobs that drain us, in habits that sabotage them. It's not because they don't want better. It's because better feels uncertain and uncertainty feels unsafe. But let me tell you, real safety doesn't come from clinging to what's familiar. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you can trust yourself to handle it. And when you learn that, you'll stop settling for comfort that keeps you small. You'll start stepping into the unknown with courage. And that's when real change begins. So here are some healthy and unhealthy ways that we get this need met. Creating emotional stability by learning how to regulate your own nervous system. Building security in your routine and knowing you can trust yourself. Grounding yourself in safe environments where you feel emotionally held together. Now, here are some unhealthy ways that we get this need met. Staying in painful relationships or jobs because at least it's familiar. avoiding new opportunities because change felt too scary, controlling everything around you out of fear of the unknown. That's me, low key. For many people, staying in a bad situation feels safer than stepping into the unknown. But real safety comes from knowing you can trust yourself, not from clinging to things that no longer serves you. Let me ask you something. When was the first time you felt like you truly matter? Was it when you got straight A's in school? When you were the strong one in your family? When you were the one always showing up for everyone else? Well, this third survival need is significance and worthiness. The need to feel important, valued, and recognized as a unique individual. It's the desire to know that who we are, what we do matters. When we don't feel significant, we might try to prove our worth through overworking, seeking approval, or attaching our value to people, places, or things. A lot of us were never taught that we are worthy just as we are. Instead, we learned that our worth had to be earned, that we had to prove ourselves, that we had to work for love, for recognition, for respect. That's conditioning. And it doesn't just disappear when we grow up, it turns into overworking, it turns into never feeling good enough. It turns into running ourselves into the ground just to feel like we deserve rest. I want you to hear me when I say this. You do not have to struggle to be worthy. You do not have to exhaust yourself to matter. You do not have to prove a damn thing. Significance and worthiness is your birthright. So here is some ways that we get these needs met, healthy and unhealthy. Let's start with the healthy ways. Healthy ways this need is met is through knowing that you are worthy just as you are, not because of what you do. You hear that? Creating a life where you feel fulfilled and valued in a way that uplifts you. Receiving recognition and love without having to earn it. You're beautiful. People just compliment you just for being you. And unhealthy ways that we get this need met is through overworking yourself because productivity makes you feel valuable. Sacrificing your own well being just to feel needed. Don't give up you to make other people feel good. Chasing validation from others instead of trusting yourself. Girl, you know exactly what you need. Believe yourself. If you ever feel guilty for resting, for slowing down, for putting yourself first, that's conditioning. But your worth isn't something that you have to prove. You don't have to struggle to deserve love, rest, or happiness. Have you ever caught yourself getting restless when things start to feel too normal? Like everything is going fine, no drama, no chaos. But instead of feeling good, you feel bored. Maybe you start picking fights out of nowhere, or you suddenly want to make this big, reckless decision, or you feel this urge to shake things up, even if that means self sabotaging. That is your need for variety kicking in. This survival need is called uncertainty and variety, the last survival need. The need for change, new experience, and spontaneous to keep life interesting and engaging. Without variety, life feels stagnant. If we don't find it in a positive way, we may create chaos, self sabotage, or seek toxic relationships just to feel something different. We all need some level of spontaneous in our life. It keeps us from feeling stuck, from feeling like we're just going through the motions. But if we do not find it in a healthy way, like through creativity, travel, new hobbies, or pushing ourselves outside our comfort zone, we end up seeking it through chaos, through toxic relationships, through making impulse decisions that leaves us wondering, why did I just do that? The goal isn't to eliminate uncertainty, it's to channel it into things that expand you, not things that destroy you. Because when we start finding excitement in ways that actually serve us, we stop chasing destruction just to feel alive. This is something people don't talk about enough. We need variety, we need excitement, newness, and spontaneous. But if we do not have it in a healthy way, yes, we will go to extreme lengths to get it. So here is some healthy ways and unhealthy ways that we get this need met. Let's start with the healthy ways, like we always do. Healthy ways that this need is met, right? Exploring new hobbies, experiences, and personal growth. Stepping outside your comfort zone is in a safe and intentional way. Learning how to welcome change instead of fearing it. Now, let's go into the unhealthy ways of how we get this need met. We do things like chasing toxic relationships because the highs and lows feel exciting. Like, hey, girl, I know what's going on. Creating unnecessary drama just to feel something different. Sabotaging good things because stability feels unfamiliar. These survival needs are important. They are wired into us. The goal isn't to erase them, it's to learn how to meet them in ways that actually serve us. Because when we meet our needs in a healthy way, we stop settling for toxic patterns. We stop repeating cycles that drains us, and we finally give ourselves the chance to experience something better.
Hey, beautiful. Let's take a quick break and let's talk about something I think might help you right now. There was a point in my healing journey where I had to be real with myself. What I was doing wasn't working. I felt emotionally off balance. I kept hitting the same wall. No matter what I tried, I felt stuck. And when I finally sat with it, I realized I didn't feel safe. Not in my body, not in my emotions, and not even within myself. That's when everything shifted because I finally understood that the lack of safety was the reason I couldn't move forward. And if you feel that way, like something is missing in your healing, I want to introduce to you my workbook collection, Healing a Survivor. It is built around my 3-step framework called Safe With Me, and it breaks it into micro steps to help you create safety, find stabilization, and reconnect with yourself. If you're in a place where nothing is working and you know something is missing, I want you to give my collection a try. Click the link in my show notes.
Now, let's move on to step three, replacing old conditions with new beliefs. Unlearning isn't just about getting rid of the old beliefs, it's about confronting it and understanding where it came from and then proving to yourself that it's not true. So let's take a belief that a lot of us carry. I have to please others to be worthy. Maybe you don't say it out loud, but deep down it's there. You feel like if you're not useful, if you're not meeting someone else's needs, if you're not the reliable one, then you're not enough. And where does that come from? Where this belief actually comes from is many of us, this belief started in childhood. Think about it. Think about your relationship with your parents or your caregiver. Were you loved just for being you, or were you only praised when you were doing something? Maybe love felt conditional. Maybe you got attention when you were helpful, quiet, or well behaved. But when you had needs of your own, they were dismissed. Maybe you learned that in order to be good enough, you had to put yourself last. Maybe every time you express yourself, your feelings, you were told you were being too sensitive or too much. So you adapted. You learned that the best way to stay safe, to stay loved, was to make yourself useful, to overextend, to anticipate others' needs before they even ask, to keep the peace at your own expense. And now, as an adult, that conditioning still lives inside you. You struggle to say no because you don't want to let people down. You feel guilty when you put yourself first. You feel like if you're not doing enough for others, you don't deserve their love. And that's a lie. That's a cold hearted mother lie. The truth is, your worth has never been tied to service. Love is not something that you have to earn. You do not have to give until you're empty to be valuable. You do not have to sacrifice yourself to be loved. The truth is that you were worthy from the moment that you were born. You exist. Your existence is enough. Your presence is enough. You deserve love simply because you are, not because of what you do. And I know at first this truth might feel wrong. It might feel unnatural because when we spend years believing the opposite, the truth is like a foreign language. But just because something feels unfamiliar doesn't mean that it's not real. Finding the evidence to disprove the old belief. Next, the best way to unlearn a old belief is to look for proof that it isn't true. So let's do that. Let's find evidence in your own life that shows that you do not have to please others to be worthy. Okay, think about it. Think about the people who loves you simply for being you. Your mom, maybe your best friend who doesn't expect you to do anything for them. They just love you just because of you. Maybe it's a child, a niece, a nephew, someone who lights up just because you exist, not because of what you get, though. Think about it. The time that you set a boundary and people still stayed. Maybe you finally said no to something, and guess what? The road didn't fall apart. People still respected you. Maybe you took time for yourself and the right people understood instead of punishing you for it. Think about it. Think about a moment where you received love without having to earn it. A random hug, a compliment, someone checking in on you just because. These moments are proof that you don't have to work for love, that your value isn't attached to how much you give, that the belief that you've been carrying is not the truth. It's just something that you were taught. And now you have the power to unlearn it. This isn't going to happen overnight again. At first, you might catch yourself falling back into old habits, people pleasing, overextending, shrinking yourself. That's okay. Every time you notice it, remind yourself, I don't have to earn my worth. I don't have to prove myself. I am enough as I am. And the more you do that, the more the truth will become your new norm. Now, four, give yourself grace. Lean back on that. Listen, unlearning is messy. You're not going to get it right all the time. You're going to fall back into old habits. You're going to have moments where you catch yourself in cycles and think, I thought I was past this. And that's okay. That is part of the process. This isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up for yourself, even when it's hard. It's about choosing to try again, even when you feel like you fail. Now, how does this look like in action? Like, so how do we do this in life? Forgiving yourself when you slip into old patterns instead of beating yourself up. Allowing yourself to grow at your own pace instead of rushing the process. Recognizing that healing isn't a straight line. There will be setbacks, and that doesn't mean you're failing. You don't have to have it all figured out today. You just have to be willing to take one step at a time and not give up on yourself. Now, step five, taking small intentional steps towards change. Now, let's talk about taking action because awareness is the first step, but action is where the change actually happens. And I need you to hear this. You do not have to fix everything at once. In fact, if you try to, you're probably going to feel overwhelmed and shut down. A lot of people makes the mistake of thinking, okay, I need to heal, so I have to change everything. My boundaries, my habits, my relationships, my mindset, all at once. But when you take on too much, it's like trying to climb a mountain in one step. You're going to get exhausted, hit walls, and run right back to what feels familiar. So instead of overwhelming yourself, just focus on one small thing at a time. Pick something simple, something that doesn't require huge effort, but still creates a shift. Now, what does this look like? And how do we take action in this in our real life? Instead of trying to fix your whole self love journey overnight, just wake up and say, I love you to yourself every morning. I love you, Rose. Instead of forcing yourself to journal for hours, just write one sentence a day. I'm grateful for being here today. Instead of overhauling your entire routine, start with small actions like self care, giving yourself a hug before bed. I love you. All right, let's take a moment to reflect on what we covered today. We talked about how so many of the struggles that we face aren't just who we are, they're what we were taught, right? Conditioning shapes the way we move through life. And when we don't recognize it, we stay stuck in the cycles that do not serve us. We also explore why breaking free feels so hard because our survival needs are at play: love, certainty, significance, and variety. We all seek these things. And when we don't find them in healthy ways, we settle for whatever version we get. But the most powerful thing that we learned is how to start to unlearn by questioning our automatic reactions, shifting from victim mindset to a survival mindset, challenging our old beliefs with the truth, and giving ourselves grace. And taking small intentional steps, we create real change. And remember, this isn't about perfection, it's about awareness and choice. Every time you recognize a old pattern and choose to respond differently, you're already shifting. You are already starting to shift and start to change these patterns and beliefs. Next time, on the next episode, we're going to dive into the path to feeling safe again. The missing piece that's keeping you stuck. Because healing cannot happen if we do not feel safe. We're going to talk about what safety really means and why it's the foundation of all healing and how to start creating it from yourself. If this is something that you really, really don't want to miss. And if today's episode spoke to you, I would love for you to join our Facebook group, Sister Let's Heal Together. This is where we continue these conversations and support each other beyond the podcast. You don't have to do this alone. And all you have to do is click the link in your show notes. And before you go, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button so that you never miss another episode of a Sisters Law podcast. And if you found this helpful, leave a quick review to help the podcast grow and reach more women who needs this message. All right, that's it for today. Take care of yourself, be gentle with yourself, and I'll see you in the next episode. Signing out, your sister through love, Rose. Bye.